Hey, welcome to the Strategic Success Podcast. I'm your host, Courtney Fricky. Thanks for tuning in. If you're wanting to learn more about how to do a subject to deal as a real estate investor, don't rely on a 60-second TikTok. Come to one of my workshops. I have my next one scheduled on Saturday, May 17th in the Tampa Bay area in Florida. It's offered both in person with limited seats as well as online, especially I know we're going to max out the in-person. So with that being said, this workshop is where I deep dive my concept of safe subject to. Because there's no such thing as a 100% safe subject to deal, but how can you do one as safely as possible? And so this is where I deep dive the process, the paperwork, the due diligence, how to run the numbers, and then when to pull the trigger. You know, what makes something a good deal versus one that you should maybe not say yes to. You definitely want to come check this workshop out if you have interest. Maybe you've already been doing subject to deals and you want to learn more. Go to CourtneyFricky.com to either get your in-person or online ticket today.
Welcome back. Me and Courtney are here talking to two great friends and real estate agents, Nicole and Lewis Williams from the Williams team. And in this segment, we talk with them about who they are so we can promote who they are as business owners, but also like to talk about some intentional things within your business to help you either recruit, promote, or just showcase y'all's talent. So really excited y'all came on today.
Cool. Thanks for inviting us. We're excited.
Yep.
Not our first rodeo in front of these cameras.
Yeah, that's right. You've been here before. So let's get started first to talk about who you are. And I think y'all have a really interesting story. I've been around you guys for a long time. My brother was on the team with you guys. Still thinks of Nicole as like a big sister. I won't say a mom because I feel like y'all are, definitely thinks of you as a big sister, and he appreciates everything that you poured into him. And same with Lewis, giving him his first opportunity in real estate, which he's still doing today in Baton Rouge. So, Lewis, why don't you talk a little bit about how you got into the real estate business after your football career?
Yeah, some people know I was a professional athlete. I played at LSU, then I played about 6 or 7 years of pro football. As that was starting to wind down, I got my real estate license in 2005, August of 2005, right around Hurricane Katrina.
Ideal time, huh?
Yeah. Everything sort of came together for me. But unfortunately, I went to Kansas City that year and played several weeks, almost a month or so. But I quickly realized my time was limited. They ended up cutting me, and I came back, and I've been selling real estate now for almost 2 decades.
Nice, cool.
So I was a solo agent for a number of years, trying to learn the entire business. I quickly realized that I needed to put some people around me and leverage myself so we could close a little bit more business. And by 2012, I stepped out and formed a team. And Nicole and I have been together pretty much ever since then, building this real estate empire.
There you go.
You could say.
Yeah.
So we've been doing it consistently as a team, producing several hundred units a year in production, coaching, training, motivating agents on our team, and we're doing a real a serious business, not just a practice anymore.
Sure.
We've been building it, I guess, for 10, 12 years now.
I think it's important too for people to know that you're from here, right?
No,
you're from Florida originally.
Neither
Neither one's from there. That's right. That's right.
She's a Canadian, and I'm from Florida.
There you go. But y'all both come here and made a pretty big impact, and not just in the real estate world. Nicole, you have another business that you operate too, right? So tell us a little bit about your business.
Yoga studio. So I started real estate just to have something to do because my ex-husband at the time traveled a lot for work, so I had to be available for Ryan. We didn't have any family here, so it was like, how do I get to know my area the best? Well, real estate would expose me to the most. So I just started for that. And then I quickly realized, well, I might be good at this. And so I started to focus more on like the studying part of it and just getting better at sales. Cause then I also didn't know that real estate was sales. I just thought, So that was like a light bulb. So I did that and I got good at it, and we teamed up, started working, on the team, but also my other partner, Elizabeth, I also love doing yoga, and I think there was one yoga studio in Mandeville.
There's still one yoga studio in Mandeville?
No, not anymore.
Like one good one. Yeah. No, there's a few.
What was the name of it? Bayou Yoga?
It's Bayou Yoga. So we went to one studio, and she was actually shutting down her studio, where it sort of worked out. I didn't really know Elizabeth. We met taking yoga classes, and we weren't really even friends. So we were business partners first, and then a friendship came from building it together.
It's usually
the other way around.
Yeah, it's usually okay. Keep going.
Yeah. So we built the studio doing. We would like sublet from. Because it was Mandeville real estate is really expensive. So we had no money, no students, so we would sublet from Jazzercise Studios where we started. And the only time slot they had was like a 7:15 p.m. because she had her classes So we started the 7:15 p.m. and at the time it wasn't social media or anything. So we were just word of mouth, and
Yeah.
I would be there with her classes. And so we had like 4 students, I think. And then we just kind of kept moving around, and nobody had, when you're just subletting an hour space, they don't really take you seriously. So we just went like, all right, if we build it, they will come. Let's go balls to the wall. We have 1 year. We've got a lease for 1 year. We're going to try it. If it works out, we'll keep going. And then it just, 10 students and then 30. And then it just kind of kept growing. And
And
then
now
the
you
studio
see
is
BY stickers on the back of
all over
half
the
the cars.
place.
I was in Baton Rouge the other day and I saw a BY sticker
Were
on the back of
you?
somebody's
Yeah.
car, which I was pretty
makes my
proud of.
heart
I know
happy.
that.
Yeah,
I know what
yeah.
that means.
Yeah.
That's great.
It was a long journey
You
with
know,
that.
we had, what, 9 or 10, well, more than 9 years. 9 years at the location.
It's 12 years total we start, but we really count the time from when we got the actual lease, like when we started
Yeah.
the business and
Yeah,
formed
had
an
a
actual
storefront and everything.
business
Yeah.
plan and all that.
So, and then one more thing, you are a college graduate as of,
As of last month.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I know.
Congratulations.
That
Yeah,
was like
so
a
you got-
lifelong
degree in what?
Psychology.
Yeah. How
That's
much?
interesting.
Yeah.
What sent you in that direction?
I've been obsessed with psychology since, so like, people would read love stories and stuff growing up. I would read psychology books because I don't know why. I just enjoyed learning about the brain. And then
Yeah.
I wanted to go to school forever, but then I had Ryan and I couldn't, and money was tight. Like, it was just always like life would not let me do it. And then COVID happened, and it was this, Elizabeth, actually, we were having lunch. Like, why don't you just go back to school? Because I was having like existential crisis again. Ryan's going off to college. What am I going to do? Like, I can't believe
Seasons
I'm
of life.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's so empty. And she's like, why don't you just go back to school? They were doing everything virtually at the time. And that was
Perfect.
perfect. So I started virtually, and then they took away virtual. And then it was like, I was on campus with 20-year-olds, and then it was awful. But, it is.
So, okay, so question for you. Obviously there's a magnet there with you in psychology. How does that blend over into your real estate world? Because psychology is life, right?
Right. So it started, psychology was life. And then the yoga, I don't know if people, like a lot of people know, the mind-body connection. It is
Absolutely.
the psychology that happens, and how your brain, you can rewire
Getting
it
more in
with
tune with
movement.
yourself.
Yeah. Accessing the brain through the body, those
Yeah.
things. And so that was always the connection. And the idea was also that I would take psychology and do some sort of practice that would tie yoga into it. I didn't really think about it with real estate. But then I got DISC certified. Like, I got all these certifications that were all about personality and psychology. And anytime we'd hire agents, it was very important to know how they thought, how they function, what clicked, how they, the patterns of thinking. And mindset was huge with Keller
Yeah.
Williams. And so everything was kind of like tied in. So when I thought about going to school, I was like, well, it's going to make sense for everything across the board, because
Yeah.
sales is mindset, is psychology, is yoga, is, so
Yeah,
all
sure.
of it.
It can be powerful. I actually have a student who is a economic psychologist, which is a very niche base.
Yeah, you think?
And she works for, right now she's currently with, I think, Fidelity, and teaching that why do people buy the way they do?
Right.
Why do they invest the way they do? What gets them to pull the trigger? What makes them pull back?
All psychology.
It's all
right.
psychology. And literally, every time I go to Tampa, we spend time together, and I am just like blown away by that concept. But yet, the bigger firms understand it.
Yeah.
Like, they understand we need you to train our salespeople so they can understand their clients and help themselves.
Algorithm. It's like human algorithm. They
Exactly.
train you how to, yeah. And it's also helpful for like even my clients, helping them understand when I know how, and not like a salesy part, but real estate is really emotional for them on their end of it. So understanding what they're going through and how I present myself and how I can show up for them to get them through it. It was
Yeah.
Which I mean,
also
the word that I kept
dissecting it.
thinking was empathy, right? I mean,
Yeah.
does understanding that part of it give you more empathy when you're dealing with
Absolutely.
people? Yeah, I'm sure.
Because you can then remove it and be like, oh, they're just, it's like not I'm not diagnosing, but I'm like, oh, I understand what they're going through. So then I just have to address the actual fear, the issue. It's always, are you scared? Are you mad? Like, what is it? It's the basis of everything is those two emotions. And so kind of,
So then you're problem solving for
They're
those.
fearful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Chris Voss calls it tactical empathy, right? Like, and so you're just problem solving. Like, what?
You just connect the dots to
Yeah.
back and then
How
if
can
you
I
can bring
help?
it back to the humanity, the humanness of them
Exactly.
all is all it is. Because it's easy to pull away from that and go like, oh, they're just being jerks or they're being stuck, whatever it is. But the humanness of it all is the fear behind this huge decision, and then like doubt and all the stuff that creeps in.
And a lot of people, they think we're in the house business, but we really aren't.
We're not.
We're in the people business, and so that's a huge part. And so obviously with you guys' time, in this business, you've learned the real estate side,
it's not complicated, but it's not easy. It's not complicated, though. It's not rocket science. It's the people part that's really what you have to overcome. That's where the rubber hits the road.
The psychology, the language of sales, and understanding your customers' wants, needs, and concerns are where you connect with them. And if you can connect with them, earn their trust, and they know you have your back, that's how you can move to their goals.
So let me ask you this. So I don't want to get into marketing yet, but when you talk about that, my first reaction is you got to be able, you have to be able to relate to people and ask the right questions. But I know you're a huge script guy.
Yeah.
And I think people have a disconnect with scripts. They think that you like are a robot saying the same thing over and over again, but you have to be able to adapt to the conversations, right? Like be able to ask the right questions. So like, how do you use the scripts personally, but also how do you teach your agency the scripts?
I teach them memorize, internalize, and capitalize. The key in sales is capitalizing on the conversations that you're having with them and delivering it in a way that they can understand it and move forward with their goals. You're not manipulating them in any way. That's why you better trust who the heck your salesperson is, so you know you have them on your side, because human nature is human nature. You can get people to move and do things that they don't necessarily want to do if you know their brain well enough. So that's the big connection there, to make sure you trust the person, they have that customer's best interest at heart every step of the way.
So, but like, is your script based on you telling somebody something or asking the right questions?
A little bit of both. You're not usually telling anything. You're usually asking questions, so they self-discover the direction they want to go to off the decisions or goals that they have told us from the beginning.
Yeah.
So they're finding their own way. You're just holding their hand through question asking and getting their emotions to be in check throughout that process.
A lot of my views on it is just conversation leadership. That's all it is. I'm leading the conversation toward a certain direction, and that decision may be that today's not the right day. And let's work on a timeline of working toward this goal. Or it's getting them to make a yes or no decision, or what, but it's like literally the questions, the scripts, things like that, just guiding them. Because a lot of time, otherwise, you guys know, like with attention spans and like squirrel, whatever, people, I mean, conversation go 100 ways, but hey, someone has to take charge. And it can either be us or someone else, right? If we're not leading the conversation, we may be then following someone else's leadership in the conversation, right? Which is fine, but it's one of those things there where you can lead people along and say, hey, let's work on this journey to say, hey, is this, for example, the right fit? Is now the right time for you to buy a house? Is now, let's talk about the type of house that you'd want to buy, or, now is now the right time for you to sell? Like whatever the conversation goal is, scripts and stuff can enhance it. Yeah. But you got to have a clear direction you're trying to go in.
Using scripts and dialogues, I think people are very surprised when they hear me prospecting like I do on a daily. I was doing it this morning, 8 a.m. on the phones. They don't think I'm using scripts because I've internalized it to a point where I can interchange conversation pieces because I'm asking powerful questions to move the conversation forward to some end goal, an appointment, buy a house, list the property, with whatever that is. Now, there is language of sales and directives in the conversations, but it doesn't sound like I'm a robot when I'm talking. It's just like I'm talking to the two of y'all.
Which is, I think, what people misconception. Like you'll hear a young agent,
robotic.
Yeah, a young agent will listen and they'll be like, "Well, I'm not going to do a script. That's not natural for me." But like, no, you're just teaching yourself to where it's so ingrained in your brain that you know how to lead the conversation in the right direction.
It's in any industry. You're going to have the type of dialogue you have to have with the people. But I think scripting, what it does is it helps you. So you have your scripts and your skill set that have to be mastered so that you can clear the clutter of what they're throwing at you, so that, because they're having a million things going on and you need to like narrow the focus back to like, okay, tell me what your point Z is going to, like, what is your end game? And then I will know how to get you there if you allow me to like ask you the right questions and to navigate it correctly. So you're not manipulating, you're just helping them keep the clutter at bay by understanding them. And if you have to think about what you're saying every time and you're changing how you're talking every time, that never happens. So the scripts help you stay on point to get them to,
So how long you've been an agent for? What, 10 years now?
16.
16. Oh, you've been 16 years. Okay, I didn't realize it was that long. So as a 20 years, 16 years, like how has that kind of changed over the years of just practice or different training tools?
It's not a script anymore. Like when I find somebody that wants to buy a house, I don't go, okay, let me ask them about the appointment. I'm just now not even worried about messing up what I'm going to say and how I'm going to help them, because I know if they say, well, I don't know what to do with like the lender part, then I know my script or what I'm supposed to say is this, that helps them get to the right point. So I'm not misdiagnosing or messing up how I'm communicating to them and helping them understand. Just like when I go to a doctor, if they throw something at me, I'm like, whoa, what did you say? What did you just say? There's a way they have to deliver information to you,
Mm-hmm.
and that's practiced, which is a script. So I think if we change the word script, maybe
Repetition. It's
people,
repetition.
It's a delivery. It's
Yeah.
a way of speaking to people. There's a science behind it, and it's the way people receive information.
And there's much less talking and much more listening and responding and directing the conversation. It's not me barking orders at somebody to get them to do something they
sure.
don't want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's helping them self-discover a direction they want to go off of what they've told me their goals are, and then building rapport throughout the process to get them to their goals.
Yeah.
So as a team, right? And how much of this are y'all imparting on your agents? Y'all have a team of agents at this point. So I know that Lewis does this at a super high level. You've been doing this for a long time. You do it really well. Communicating this to your agents that work on your team. How do y'all do that? What's y'all's process like for that?
I'm pretty straightforward. I tell people from the jump, the day they join our team, there's 3 things that you got to rock out. You got to rock out your schedule. You got to follow a time block schedule for the rest of your career. You've heard me say this before. Scripts and dialogues. If I can lock you in a room for 30 days and all you do is your scripts and dialogues in the language of sales at a high level, you're going to be better than 95% of realtors available, and you're going to have to work hard. Those 3 things line up. You said real estate is simple. It's not easy, but it is a simple business. It's all those 3 things lining up at a high level to elevate your production to the point you can create the life that you want through the income that you can make.
You can't get to the empathy part with people if you're worried about what you have to say and how you're going to say it, and you're thinking about you. Like, that has to be diffused in the beginning. You have to understand what your role is for them, and then you can help them. But if you're constantly thinking and rethinking and worrying and misspeaking, you can't help them.
Well, and I would presume the power of having a team is that you can role play and you can get the repetition in
I
there.
did it this morning with some of my
Because if you're solo, I mean, who you can role play with? The wall. I mean, I don't know.
could,
I'm
you
sure AI. You can role play with AI at some point, right? But the concept is, when does it not become a script? It's when it's internalized through repetition. It's muscle memory. Now I'm not. It's like, hey, I know these are the high points, and we're working in this direction, and that's from the muscle memory.
Yeah.
Of repetition.
So before we transition to the next segment, how do y'all help your agents accomplish what they want to accomplish? We had a mastermind last month, and I really like what you had to say about helping your agents accomplish their goals. So y'all take that conversation and tell us how you feel about that.
business planning, how we connect with our agents.
Yeah, I think we were a little bit surprised that we did so much with the business planning that other people did. We're like, dude, are we overthinking this? Like, maybe we should back off a little. But it just gives you clarity. Again, like, you can't get to where you're, and it's like one time we go really deep in, and then you know where you're going, and then you do the little things every day that are going to get you there. So if every day you do what you're supposed to do, then eventually it should naturally get you to where you're going. And if you deviate 2 days a week, then you know it's going to be hard. 5 days a week, you're in trouble. Like, those kind of things. So it's like the bumper rails.
Yeah.
And so they need to tell us what they want. And then we figured out, I guess maybe more me as I'm getting more into like, hey, if we don't get them to emotionally connect to what they're doing, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Because real estate is hard. Right now, it's been the hardest. It's since 1995.
Yeah.
It's really hard. So it takes a beating, and it's terrifying when you're the breadwinner at home and you can't pull it, and you got to show up every day. It's an etch a sketch. It's an etch a sketch kind of job. You got to show up today, do it. Whatever you did yesterday may not matter because you just got to go again, and it's really hard. It's not like just going to an office. So you have to pull deep from within to show up every day. And so getting them, so he does a lot of like the sales stuff. I do operation stuff, so that which together it ends up they know their job. Like, I can teach them how to do the real estate contract part of it, and he does all the sales part and the mindset and those kind of things.
Yeah.
So we meet with them once a week, and we do 30 minutes, like, what's going on with your business? We just talk to them and just talking it out, and then they have access to us all the time with whatever questions come up. And we do team meetings every week. We do power ups. He does the power ups, 70-45, a little bit of training. So it's like constantly keeping them in real estate talk, so that they're constantly surrounded by it, because that's the only way you can get good at something.
But that's also huge because you grow into the conversations you're around.
Exactly.
And some people take it back to running, right? You can go get out here and we can all start running, but if we were to run together, there's just something about that group dynamic that people
And then
flourish.
imagine we would sit in the morning and talk about how we're going to run and how far we're going to go and what that looks like and what shoes hurt and that didn't work out and how about you do this. And then after month 3, you're like, oh, okay. And then we just have a rhythm, and then we just, so it's
We
that.
certainly follow a business rhythm, and there's everything that people are accountable to show up to. There's energy that's formed throughout the team, and everybody's pushing towards a goal collectively together to achieve those.
Something you said at the mastermind that really stuck to me, though, and I think both of y'all have realized this. as you've managed agents is that when you can't give an agent a goal. You have to understand what their goals are,
Yeah.
and then help them accomplish that through your organization,
Yeah.
right? So
Right.
talk about that realization.
Well, we have a business plan as a team, and Nicole and I know what our business objectives is, and then we hire to those objectives. But we let our agents choose their goal. They want to do 10 sales a year, 20 sales a year, 50 sales a year. We customize a business plan towards those objectives, and then we tie the emotion down to why they're actually doing it every day.
Yeah.
But a long time ago, when I first started this thing, I would tell my agent, "You're going to do this many deals. You're going to do this many deals. You're going to do this many deals. We're going to finish up with this many deals." And that wasn't too effective. I quickly
Sure.
figured that out. And with Nicole's help and guidance, we started hiring to the big team's goals.
Yeah.
So I have no problem having an agent that wants to do a deal a month. That's great.
Yeah.
And if that hits your goals and wonderful, and you're a great cultural fit for our team, you can be a part of our organization.
Yeah.
We don't have this necessarily team standard where you have to close 2 units a month or whatever that may be. I felt that there was some negative side effects. to
Sure.
that. So since then,
Yeah.
we've gone more of the path. If you're a cultural fit and you're bought in 100% and you follow our rhythms and you're accountable and you want to improve yourself and grow with the team, you can be a part of our organization.
Yeah. That's huge.
I think that's powerful. I know for me personally, clarity was a life hack, and I feel like I don't even know what the number is, but 95+% people are so unclear on what they want. It's like they're so vague and fuzzy. Like they're like, I want in the general direction, right? But because they're not clear, there's so much that like the conversation, right, gets cluttered. A lot of their, they're so pulled towards so many things because they're not clear. And so they don't know what to say no to, what to say yes to. And so I 100% love the clarity part. And you just made a statement that you said, man, are we overthinking this? Some people don't think this much into it. I think that's actually the good thing, right? The superpower, because so many people put so little effort on direction, clarity, and the mindset. But then I love that you tie the emotional part to it, because if all it is to make money, that is a fleeting goal that will leave tomorrow.
In
And
real
today.
estate, there was no money showing up this year, so they would have been gone, right? So it was like, that's not why you're here. Why are you actually
Exactly.
here?
That's where the fleet is happening, right? It's the people who did not have something that anchored them to this. Because the minute, I mean, what did they say? There's that old military quote that war plans are great until the first sight of the enemy,
fight,
right?
yeah.
I think Mike Tyson said it better: is everyone has a plan to get punched in the face, right? And so that's the same thing, as everyone's got a plan. Obviously now those plans are getting tested. And so my last question for you, and then I know we'll go to the next one, is how have you helped your team? Because now in real estate, we're all getting punched in the face. So everyone has the plan. How has your conversation around the plan, around the emotional tie to it, and all that evolved during these difficult years? Because really, since end of 22, things have been tough, right? Since the interest rates have gone up.
Yeah.
So it definitely has been hard for more than a minute.
What do we do?
I think we've had a lot
those
of,
weekly engagements with the team, and to me, showing up every day, following the rhythms,
Yeah.
doing the one-on-ones with Nicole. She has that like nailed down. She actually coaches me. We have a meeting tomorrow, and it's the same time every single week. And we sort of geared the way that she was coaching me, so it's repetitive with all of them. So we're going to replicate it over and over.
I think it's the making sure the consistency is there, because it's very easy to just fall back. Like it's a slow depression, right? It's a slow slide. Well, I'm not going to do. And then it's heavy to pick it up again. Cause like remember bold back then, like the flywheel to get it going is really hard.
Yeah.
So right now it's just really hard. But if you can just the consistency and then the activity, if you can stay in activity, then you don't beat yourself up. And then the mindset won't be like, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. It's just,
You're staying in motion.
showing up a little bit less than before. And then the wins feel better. And then you just need a little bit to keep you going. And so it's kind of like just helping them find little wins and little things and celebrating, like Kyle took a listing. He's like, well, it was just a piece of land. I was like, dude, you took a listing. Like that was exciting. Can we just celebrate the win? Like, let's keep the focus on actually winning instead of we want to win this. But if like, a 2-pointer or a 3-pointer, they're all
they all
scores.
add up,
Like it all adds up.
My gut is that the infrastructure you have is actually really powerful in a difficult market, because when the market's against your, the sales are against your back, like the wind's against your back. I mean, the infrastructure you guys have is helpful. It's not as noticeable when the market is easy, but when the market is difficult, they're like, wait, now.
I just pray that they'll hang on, because when it breaks loose and you're already doing this activity, I can't imagine the benefit
The
they're
momentum
gonna
of it.
get. They're
It's the
gonna
idea
reap
of being 1 inch away from
from
the
gold.
and then you
Yeah,
walk
I know.
away from
If
it.
you-
And I tell
trust
people that all
me,
the time.
just
Y'all,
trust me.
you fought through the most difficult part of this. I think we have some things that have changed that are going to start moving us in the right direction. So let's hold and let's see what happens. Like just keep rolling a little bit. But I also tell some agents too, if you're going to do something else and keep your real estate as an option, go do something that you're going to be able to apply to your real estate business going forward.
Right.
Go learn how to go work for a company that does social media. Go
Okay.
work for a company that does bookkeeping, so you can understand how to add a skill to your playbook that you can, or add a skill to your
keeps you in the
repertoire that you
game.
can, so you can use it whenever you actually get back into the game 100%.
So I wanna kind of transition this to, let's continue the conversation around when things get tough.
Yeah.
So whether it's a tough deal, tough clients, whatever that may be, how do you guys as a team handle? Is there a specific tough deal, or just when the tough side of real estate? Not just talking about the market, but what are some of the things? I know we talked about earlier on the the problem solving side. That's such a skill set needed in real estate to be able to overcome this. And again, this is not all easy, right? People think, the memes of like, what do they think we do for a living, right? Like, it's. I promise you, it's not what I don't even watch the TV shows. Whatever TV show is, I promise you, it's not that.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey guys, Courtney Fricky here. We've got Aussie Steve. And look, if you have a deal that needs to get moved, Southeast Louisiana, even in South Mississippi, we're your folks. We are the largest dispo company, really in the greater New Orleans area, even Southeast Louisiana. We have great contacts in South Mississippi as well. Steve, why do we move more deals than others?
Just we're very deep in this market, so Greater New Orleans can be really confusing for national wholesalers. The comps are hard. We change block for block. We got flood zones. We get a lot of hurricanes and the likes, and just a lot of the national platforms don't have the buyers on their list. So we are deep with buyers, but we're deep with relationships, which is really important in this market. So we love JVing with out-of-state investors.
Like I said, we do a ton of business with other investors. So go to homebuyerlouisiana.com/Courtney, fill out the information. We'll get in touch with you and we'll move this deal along.
Actually, a girl that spins with me, she's been training me for a number of years, and she reached out to me. She recently lost her job. I said, "Well, have you thought?" She's been in sales her whole life, off and on, and she lost her job. And I said, "Would you be interested in doing real estate?" She says, "Absolutely not. I don't want anything to do with that." First off, said she was a little too old to get back in real estate, which was silly. You're never too old to get in real estate if that's something you want to do. And she's an excellent salesperson, but she says she's seen it firsthand that it can be a brutal business.
Yeah.
And no doubt. And she said, "I appreciate the offer, but it's not something for me." Right now.
Keeping your emotions out of it sounds like so lovely and flowery. It's just really hard because you're also just a person and you're getting barked at or treated. I don't know that I've had any like nightmare clients. I've had some that were tough, and then I get to a point where I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do what I'm supposed to do. And if it falls apart, so be it. I'm not going to get so attached to it.
Yeah.
I've been more like aggressive towards by other agents mistreat me more than clients do. So that part's really hard. And I guess
I think agents get in more ways, in the way
of
so
transactions.
than not.
I'm gonna shut my mouth here.
When we talked
kidding.
about
I'm just
when we
kidding.
kinda-
Maybe not.
when we were prepping for this conversation, you talked about that the fun part is structuring in a hard deal. You said that, right? And so I think that you're right to say that. And whenever you're good and you have a process at structuring the deals the right way, some agents get frustrated because you catch them right and making a mistake, but it's to your benefit and it is how the game is played. So they gotta live with it. But also, I think that having open communication and structuring a deal really well will solve a lot of those problems, or at least will put yourself in the best position, even if the other person might not be doing so.
So it's like always a jigsaw puzzle, and it's fun and the sense of accomplishment when it is hard of doing it. Knowing what the steps are in a transaction, knowing that really, really well, the ins and outs and all the different ways it can present for this and it can present for this, allows you as an agent to not get so caught up when it veers off. But okay, if I do one of 6 options, we'll still get to the next step. And if we do, so it's knowing so much and having so much. I think helpful with the team is that we're exposed to other agents' transactions as well that we weren't necessarily part of, so that you can also, you're part of 18 transactions in 1 month. You're like, wow, there's just so many different things. So you're learning a lot because we talk about all the issues, and we would go over anything that was like out of the ordinary, or how would you handle this, or what was the verbiage, and now with the new compensation, like how are you saying it, or so all those things were helpful. But he's like emotions, like steady when people come at him. So he has this good like guard about it, and I'm highly emotional. So there's like a nice balance, like you complete me thing. So I think sometimes we also know what clients I'm like, dude, I can't, like, even if they're my friends or whatever, I'll be like, I'm gonna tell you what, they're gonna trigger me every time. I think that's gonna be a better you thing. And so knowing yourself is very important, because I can't let my emotions, or knowing it's gonna be a 60-day transaction where they're gonna hurt my feelings the whole time, I'm allowed to say, like, you know what, they're not gonna bother you. Why don't you just handle that?
You got to
That's
understand
the power.
self-awareness is the key to
Like, I can help you, but if you're gonna make me miserable, I don't need to. So, you know, and then the agents, there's a lot more agents that, like, I don't know, whatever. But that's a little bit harder because you're already in the transaction. You can't choose. So you just have to learn to
That's
manage.
the power of being in a team, though. Because if you're solo, what are you gonna do? Spin around the chair, be like, "Let me spit on a new hat," you know? No, it's like you, yourself, and I, right? But so you can say, "Hey, I'm not the right personality fit," or, you know, "Hey, I'll be honest, you know, we talked before this how we hired a wedding planner recently. Well, when we were interviewing them, one of my main questions were, do you have a team or not?
Right.
Who is your team? Because I wanted to know, was I just going to get 100% of this person, which is good and bad, or would I basically get the strengths and weaknesses of multiple team members?
Beautiful.
You know, and so that was actually a factor for me in hiring, because that was something that I was looking for in that process, right? And I'll say this is, you know, as far as agents getting in the way, I love, you know, I've worked with, at this point, I have to count it out, but close to maybe 100 agents in our region. An old school creative finance quote is that a confused mind says no. Or a confused mind says you can't do that, right? And I find that all the time. And so I appreciate when people are learning based. Like when you and I jumped on the phone call, you know, a while back, it's also knowing who you can call to figure things out. Because if people are just like, no, you can't do that. Well, did you go and vet it out? Did you go and get, you know, ask some more questions?
Right.
Because look, none of us know it all. And look, I can promise you every market will demand something different of us. And that is a huge part of, I actually get worried when people are so engraved of it has to go one way.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I'm like,
Especially
man,
in this market, you're not going to survive. You're not going to get deals closed if you don't have
You
that
can't know
open
everything
mindset
about
or
everything.
different alternatives, or
That's-
what if we tried it that way? This might work. Let's try this. What if it did work? You know, using questions like that, and then keeping them open-minded throughout the process, regardless if it's an agent or a buyer or a seller or a title, whatever. Let's just think around different things before we pull the trigger and say something.
I think knowing that it's all such high emotion, like this is where their kids are going to lay down to sleep.
Yeah.
Tomorrow they don't know where they're going to live. Today this is where their kids, like, there's a lot of emotion for them. If you could just keep, again, the human, like when they're getting angry or whatever, you could just get off the phone for a minute and go like, God, that must suck. Like that was intense. And then you got to regroup and be like, I know what the next step has to be. Can I just get it to there?
Yeah.
And then you go, you know,
Somebody made the joke the other day. They were like, "Yeah, my buyer wanted these things to get repaired, and the seller was so upset because like this mark on the wall was a little Johnny like
right.
scratched the
I
wall.
know.
It's like it's a scratch on the wall. Like you need to get that fixed for the clothing." And and you know we get to hear it because we'll get it from both sides whenever people are negotiating. And what do I do? How can I help solve this problem? And you know, I think that one of the things that we do as a title company that helps us be able to pivot and address difficult situations, that we have a team. And everybody has a process, and they follow different steps. And if something is out of the ordinary, that's when they ask an attorney to step in. So I'm not putting my hands on every file. I'm putting my hands on the ones that need my assistance, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so having the team, like the transaction coordinators and the admins and everybody else checking the system and then saying, hey, this one needs to be addressed, allows you to step in and be like, I need to go handle this issue at the
yeah,
process.
the high level.
it's like
picking
It's
up.
like
like
agent.
football, you know, like you do the basics. We teach to the basics really, really well. We have that really well structured.
Yeah.
And then the out of the ordinary is when we got to step in and like think about it, kind of like that.
If an agent has a shaky deal or something come up, they usually reach out to either me or Nicole. We talk them through some scenarios and we get them prepped before they make the call. We get their emotion back in check first and foremost.
Yeah.
Then we give them alternative solutions that they can present to their client, to the other agent, etc., to try to close the deal.
Yeah.
I think that's so critical because we always fall to our baseline of our training, which is the fundamentals. It should be the basics and the fundamentals. But then there's always going to be a level where we need some high level problem solving, right?
Yeah.
You don't want your day to run you where you're just constantly, but you're like, there's going to be points where you have to step in. So I
That's
really,
the power of the team, because
Yeah.
sometimes my agent partner has just as good idea as I do,
Yeah.
and we can bounce ideas off of
Sure.
each other, and then we can come to a conclusion that this is the best case scenario. Let's present this and see if we can make it work.
Napoleon Hill talks about the power of a mastermind.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And so it's a constant mastermind.
Yeah.
So let's shift. I really want to talk about this with Lewis because I know that there's a million ways to market yourself as a real estate agent. And a lot of people in this town, smaller town, right? We're not Houston, we're not Dallas, we're not even New Orleans, right? Like you always say, New Orleans is the smallest big town in the United States, right? And we're outside of that. It's very much a relationship based business. And there's a lot of different systems in which to go generate business. You're very good at the cold calls, on the phone. And so, and then I know you're more of a relationship type agent. And so I definitely want to hear both of y'all's opinions and kind of how you have grown as a person who's comfortable on the phone, and then how you build your relationship. So I really want to start with the phone calling, because a lot of people run as far away from that as they can, but it's such a valuable tool if you can do it well.
Well, Nicole and I both weren't from the area. I played football at LSU, but I'm not originally from here. So I wasn't went to Mandeville High School or had all these connections or whatever. So I started my business on the phone. I was cold calling. I did what Keller Williams had taught us and preached to do, calling for sale by owners, calling expired listings, calling challenging sales, like maybe a divorce situation or a probate or something like that. So I had to start with the cold business. So I built my business around prospecting. We're prospecting based, and we leveraged marketing to expose our properties at a high level and attract more buyers and sellers. So it's never been foreign to me. I'm in sales. I'm on the phone for a minimum of 3 hours every single day. This morning I made about 300 dials and got maybe about 30 or 40 people on the phone and set 2 appointments. If you want to do a lot of business, you're going to have to reach out and get in front of people and ask for the order. That's as simple as it is. So, and over time, we got a name for ourselves. We did great jobs for buyers and sellers, and they referred us a lot of business. Now, about 50% of our business comes from referrals and repeats. But that does not mean I'm not going to be on the phone at 8 a.m. every morning, and I'm not going to coach, train, and lead and motivate my team to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Because that's going to sustain all ups and downs in the business. If you're not out there prospecting, looking, moving with the buyers and shakers that are looking to buy and sell real estate, you're not doing business right now.
So you said 50% of your business comes from
Past
past clients. So are you also cold calling them, or are you waiting for them to reach out to you?
Call that a cold call. Now that's a warm call.
But you're calling them without having an appointment set, and you're asking them,
what can we do for you in 2025?
Gotcha.
We were thinking about you. I was in the neighborhood over the weekend. How's the house treating you?
is that part of your $300 you did this morning? Those people were included in that?
Most of my stuff this morning were expireds, online leads, for sale by owners, and follow-up business that I've been cultivating, nurtured leads.
So, but when you're the day for that necessarily? Okay.
There's a day for that. Nicole is much better on that
Yeah.
end of things. So she has that ingrained in her business plan.
Yeah.
That's one good thing about being on the team. I know my strengths.
Yes.
The other agents have it. We have custom business plans on areas that they want to nurture business.
That was one of my questions. I mean, like, you have someone on your team that walks in the door and wants to be wants to do business like Lewis, right?
Yeah.
Sit down with me, I'll show you how to do it, and I'll walk you through it, and I'll hold you accountable, and we'll practice and we'll make you better at it. Or you can be more the relationship side of the business, and which I'm at the point now where I could reach out to an agent I don't know, and I could reach out to a buyer or seller I don't know, and yeah, just I'm confident, but like it's not my default. My default is
People you know.
the relationships that I have, and going out in the community and adding value and spending time with people that I share common values with, and knowing I want to spend time with that person, right? I think we can relate to that. How do you utilize the yoga studio, not intentionally or directly, but like the relationships that you've built there to enhance the real estate business?
I've gotten a lot of business through the yoga studio, but I don't call them. I don't send them like they're not. No, I kind of try to keep that as like a sacred space.
Yeah.
Like I try. It's just I've formed friendships with people, and that's the relationship.
Which is the point, yeah.
It's not like I'm going to sell their house. It's just they're my friends, and then they trust me, and they know me, and they know our business, and so it's a natural thing, just like anything.
For sure.
But it was never intentional. It was actually a lot of coaches we've had before. They're like, "Well, you got to take your database from this and put it in your dialer." I was like, "I am not calling those people. Like that is my like passion project. Like I'm not mixing the two. I don't need it. Like I need this to feed my soul, and this to like." Pay the bills.
Sure.
I didn't want the two to cross. They just naturally kind of happen. And I've had a lot of like real estate clients that are like, I want to go check out your studio. And so they've come over. It's been that, but never an intentional thing.
But see, but that's the beauty. It's the beauty of understanding, like we talk about ideal clients all the time for us,
Yeah.
right? So like, who do you want to spend time with? And your ideal client doesn't necessarily have to be somebody you want to spend time with. But if I'm building a profile for my ideal client, it's somebody I can relate to, somebody I want to spend time with.
Yeah.
And I tell people, if you're marketing, go join a bowling team if you like to bowl. Go to the skeet range and do that regularly. Like, or go.
I know.
pickleball.
I told
Go pickleball.
I told one of my agents, is like, go get a hobby. Could you just go get a hobby and just enjoy doing your hobby?
Yeah.
And you're going to run into people. Like, you don't have to overthink, where am I going to get a sphere? You can't force a relationship. Sure. So go do something you enjoy.
yourself.
And go be yourself.
Yeah.
Like, people I do yoga with, I don't want to be friends with somebody who's going to be like, yoga is not, you know what I mean? Those are not my people. So I just hang out with my people who become part of both our
The
worlds.
part of your life,
Same
and
thing. Part of my life.
You're helping. You're adding value to them, giving them a safe space so that they can move their body, get
It's just
clarity, and
normal.
then they come to you when they need something that you can help them with. And I think that people overthink that side of the marketing.
Girl who
business.
colored my hair before, she was from the yoga studio. She wasn't like poaching us from the studio. We were just friends. And I'm like, oh, you color hair. Now I trust you. And now I know you. And now I like you. And then her sister bought a house with, it's just like you just do life with people. And that real estate's part of my life. And so when I first started, I'm not from here either. And Keller Williams was like, you're going to have to call people. And I think I would vomit. Like, I would physically be ill trying to call people. And then I did. And I got the first piece of business. And so I had to work a lot more on memorizing scripts and just like eyes closed on the phone saying it, like hoping I get some business. And then I get business. And those are the ones I nurtured and I made relationships with. Mel Fortmeyer, I'll forever, like, he gave me my first, like, and I told him, like, dude, I've never sold a house before. He was buying a vacant lot. He's like, all right, I'll give you a shot. And then Mel became my first client who bought, and I'm still friends with him in Mara. You just become friends with the people. So I had to be prospecting based in order to build my business so it can become, I do know the agents that like grew up here and I admire and I am so jealous of their businesses from just like,
Having
I grew up with these people. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's beautiful. And having that trust and growing that way. I didn't have that, so I had to create that. And so that's what we've done. He prospects and I nurture.
Yeah, so I mean, like the relationship, you generate a client, they become a lifelong client because
Well, he generates them,
We
and
do
then
a
through
good
our
job, we
relationship.
perform for them, we achieve their goal, and then we form a relationship after the fact.
Yeah.
I break the ice, I get in the door, we close a piece of business,
And
keep
we
in
stay
touch
friends with them.
we check
Yeah.
with them, and if
It's
they
fun.
like us and they love us, they send us more business.
John and I have a similar relationship where I'll go cast a wide net and bring people in, and they usually are like, "No, I want to do business with you. I don't want anybody else." John comes in for 5 minutes and like forget that I was even in the room, which is exactly how a good partnership works, right? Like you just compliment each other, and right? Because I could not do what he does, and he doesn't
Vice
want to do what
versa.
I do, and so it works out really well. So,
Well,
I think
and the
you're-
beautiful part here, so my business now is pretty much 100% referral or repeat. But I've been in the business for 10 years, so there is some level of that does take time and nurturing, right? Like you can't do that day one.
Right.
The other part though is I used to be in the prospecting world. It is very hard to basically get get a repeatable process on referrals and stuff like that because it's like you can't predict what your business cycle will look like. The cold calling is a contact sport.
Right. So
And-
number
and-
of contacts, number of conversations, number
Yeah.
of appointments. I can tell you, I'll talk to 40 people. I set 2 appointments on less than 40 contacts today. So, and that's just cold
Conversion
calls.
ratios.
Well,
it's
I know
math.
conversion ratios. I
Yeah.
know if I dial 500 people, I'm going to talk to about 50 to 100 people. 10
Yeah.
to 20% are going to pick up. After I talk to 50, I'm going to set at least one appointment, and then my big business can become predictable. Predictable business get predictable results, and then it's just a numbers game for me.
So-
I understood that, and I connected with that. So either route you want to go, but I think you need multiple levels of business income.
Yeah.
Only one rock of
Yep.
every person's business on our team is sphere of influence. When they join the team, you bring 200 of your contacts in, name, phone number, email addresses, and mailing addresses, and you nurture that rock. You need 3 to 5 big rocks. So when one dries up or doesn't show up,
Yep.
you've been prospecting or marketing to those other areas. So there's additional business coming in at all times.
Yeah.
To hit your goals.
I like talking about it as having one passive and one active form because active is like I'm knocking on the door, I'm calling, I'm texting. But passive is they're seeing my social media or they're getting a piece of mail from me. They have to come to me.
Right.
It's like waiting for the phone to ring versus
Inbound,
picking up the phone and
outbound.
calling. Yeah, inbound,
And I
outbound,
even
same
find
thing.
the active of me doing it, I can get shut down. I talk to 100 people, everybody shuts me down, and then out of the blue, something good happens to me. You do the right thing over and over,
Right.
and you follow a system and a program, you get a result regardless. So me, I'm just making my calls and don't really give a damn if they can set an appointment with or not, because I'm gonna get a call from a past client later that afternoon saying, "Hey, I'm
Right.
interested in selling my house.
Yeah.
The energy.
because I
It's
was
a
doing it
contact
right
sport.
way. I was
Energy
doing
too, yeah.
The productivity and positive energy out in the atmosphere. in
Yeah.
the
Well,
world.
and it's a numbers thing, right? It's a contact sport. And Jim Rohn, you know, he's a classic, right? But he says that success is not one catalytic event. It's doing the basics. It's a few simple disciplines practiced every single day.
Yep.
And he said, on the other hand, right, failure is not one catalytic event.
Slowly then
It is
suddenly.
That's
the
it.
wrong.
Slowly
It's
then
the
suddenly.
wrong. It's like the deviation from the fundamentals
Right.
that the simple
One day
disciplines supposed
this
to do
week,
every day.
2 days this
And
week,
yeah,
1 day this month, 3 days that month.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so
Humans are full of habits. You have good ones or bad ones.
exactly.
Both of them probably suck getting there, but if you do the good one, most likely you can get a good result. You do the bad one, most likely you get a bad result.
Sure.
Yeah. So, and I love that. So here's something I think that's critical is, I love that you guys are a mixture of the two, because some people, they love the structure, the high intensity, the contact, all that. At the same time, they love the nurture, so I love that you guys come together, with that. And again, comes to the power of a team.
Right. And I think even agents that partner with our organization, they like that too, because they
Yeah.
never get one piece or the other, or if they connect better with Nicole, they work more with Nicole. If they connect better with me, they're on the phone with me all the time. There's no right or wrong answer. It's sort of, you don't ever have the perfect agent. We just
No.
have a structure where we sort of complement each other in a good way that usually fills the buckets of most partners that join our organization.
Well, it's like one of those things where it's like, they may, for example, connect more with you, Nicole, but they're still getting
What they need from me.
the benefit of the system.
And even if it's say 75% Nicole, they still need a kick in the ass 25% of the time with me
100%.
to get them to where Nicole's taking them, and vice versa. Some of
Yeah.
them just want to do the discipline. They're military, they're athletes, they connect with me, yet they still have to touch that emotional twinge to be able to get their butt out of bed.
Well, and
every morning
sometimes
and
it's
get after
client
it.
based too. Like their
Yeah.
client's a little bit softer, and so they need to
won't
figure out
work
the
with everyone
approach. Or
well.
sometimes
Yeah.
their client's being difficult, and they need to figure out a different way. And so it's
Exactly.
different for every lead or every transaction too.
I love that.
Cool. Let's wrap it up. I appreciate y'all coming today. That was fun. I
You
literally
didn't get
walked.
to talk about your business structure. You
Do
good?
what? That's okay. We got an hour.
I think we got a lot of
we
good
talked a
things
lot
in.
about structure. Yeah, I was thinking about that. But we can wrap this
That's
up.
Nicole's sweet spot right there now.
We'll come back in anytime.
Lauren was when I walked in.
Oh, I'll do with Lauren. That's right. Isn't that her gig? For sure.
Okay, we'll have you come and talk about your business. When I walked in here, I told her, I'm like, this is going to be a fun conversation because they actually have a business.
When I was reading the questions, I was like, dude, it makes sense that they're having us on there. I was like, we actually do these things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Most of the time we hear them.
And the sad part is, even highly successful realtors that are in our mastermind group, you're blown away with how they even do what they do.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
It's so jealous, man.
Darlene
I'm like-
Garievsky was like, I don't know, I just do
Dude, when
whatever.
I-
I was like,
I'm not gonna lie, that's me. I don't.
I was like, oh, I want to
the
die.
system.
How do you get to that level? I was like, Lewis,
Like
how do
we
you
had
do that? I want
spent
that.
60 days prepping, getting
We've
ready,
been business
building
planning
business
since October.
plan.
And she's like, I don't know, I just want to take
I
a
just
trip
show
with
up
my
and I sell
family.
30
I'm like,
million every year, and this is what I want to do.
I mean, she's just from here. They just don't.
like I go to church and people like